Now hit the drum.
Flowers. Seasonally bloom to the rhythm, celebrate the essence of existence. Living, pierce into the groove of the rhythm, celebrate the essence of existence. Living, free yourself, move to the rhythm, celebrate the essence of existence.
It is my pleasure and honor to present you with some trivia about the album Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats. I'll start with the title track, Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats. I don't remember where the initial inspiration came from or how I started writing this song, but when we were in the process of now putting the lyrics which I had started writing to the beat, I kind of consulted with a number of people, and one of them was TK, who's a producer that I've worked with for a long time, and I told him, okay, I've got this song in which I want to present the story of a young girl. Basically, we chronicle her journey in life up until she becomes older, and we want to get the three things, flowers, needles and drumbeats, recurring during the course of her life. So I explained this concept, and he said to me that the person immediately that popped into his mind who could come in with a good second verse is a guy called Pompey. Pompey had just done a song with TK, and so TK gave me Pompey's contact details. We started communicating, and Pompey dropped a brilliant second verse. And I'm pretty curious to find out what was going on in Pompey's mind when he wrote that, so let's find out.
Now a teen, seeking emancipation and never stressing, and a baby I'm 18, all the parents ever heard it.
He started the song by describing the birth of this young girl. Now, I thought it would be good to take up from that point, from birth to go to her teenage life. So as I'm talking about that, the use of needles really was the drugs, you know. During that age of being a teenager, there's a lot of peer pressure in regards to drugs, and I used what ushered in the drugs to be flowers, which is love. A guy comes and you know, Max, and says, you know, I love you, and uses that relationship to infuse wrong values into this girl. So she starts taking drugs, using needles. And drum beats I used in the club was the situation, the drum beats from the music. You know, drugs are usually taken with music.
So after we came up with the first and second verse, we needed a chorus that would be memorable. And I then spoke to Inyambo, who's the executive producer on the album, and he suggested that we get the one man who he and I agreed upon, who could bring this thing to life and magically take the song to the next level. And so Zubs, the last letter.
Seasonally bloom to the rhythm, celebrate the essence of existence. Living.
Flowers, needles, and drum beats. Play that beat for me, that rhythm. Beautiful rhythm. It's very sort of ethnocentric. I can just feel Zambia, Zim, and South Africa coursing through that rhythm. So immediately I gravitated to it. So when I did that chorus, for me it was easy. It was just about, just ride the beat, bro. Just ride that beat. It was going boom, ride with it, so flowers, move to the rhythm, celebrate the essence of existence. You know, so for me it was like, it was the flowers, needles, and drum beats for me was just, it was a marriage of both the feeling and the music. So that was the culmination of that whole thing with Chilu Lemba, flowers, needles, and drum beats, the song.
One of the people that we wanted on the track was JK. I happened to be in Lusaka, and JK had listened to what we were doing with all the other songs on the album, and he zeroed in on the song Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats. He wanted to be a part of it. And so he brought in his flavor, and I think he brought the track to the next level by doing so. So it has that JK feel to it. The other person on the album who came on because of the fact that we wanted live horns on the track was a gentleman called Adam Howard. And Adam has been a collaborator on the commercial side of my career for quite a long time, but then he brought horns onto the track, which I think elevated the level of the song and made it sound as if something that a person such as Fela Kuti or Manu Dibango would have been proud of. And so Adam Howard jumped onto it. But I'd like to get the thoughts of the last person who jumped onto the track, and that is Kofi. Kofi was brought onto the track by Inyambo, who I think just explained what the concept was, and this is what he brought onto the track. But let's find out what he had in mind when he jumped on.
On the grave, the high she craved, enslaved and wiped her life out like a wave. So many when I first heard the track, actually both tracks that I guested on, I got a real fella kind of feel. And that was really cool because, incidentally, some other producer and I had been talking about, a sound like that a few months prior, and he wanted to put me on a project that he was working on, and then Yums told me that you were putting this together, and I heard it, and it just sounded so full, it sounded so rich, and it sounded right. So inspiration wasn't really a problem. From the moment I heard the beat, the words just started flowing. You gave a sort of broad overview in that little prelude to the verse, and then with your verse you talked about the entry of a life into the world. So that was complete on its own. Then you had Bumpy coming in and giving you the teen years of this girl child and what she experienced. So for me, it only seemed right that perhaps I just close off the story and just, give it that conclusion, and that's what I try to do.
An individual who's been with me on this album process, even when we were still conceptualizing it, when I was getting rough ideas as to where I wanted the album to go, is a guy called Timothy. Now, I first met Timothy when I was working on my first album, Sound Legacy, back in 2006, and I was meant to work on a song with him for Sound Legacy, but things somehow didn't work out, and I kept saying we need to work together, so the opportunity came about in 2011 when we started working on Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats, and he produced a specific song which is called Right By You.
And there comes a time.
The way that we went about this particular album was very interesting, because usually, like past projects that I've witnessed or been a part of, we usually had the artist, working together with the producers at the same time, coming up with the beats and with the lyric and everything together and that sort of a thing. This kind of took a different approach, because we had this awesome producer Nyams who did most of the tracks on the album, who had already done some instrumentals and some beats and that sort of a thing, and he wrote these beats, and then Chilu had to write to these beats, and the way that it worked out was just pure magic, because it was hand in glove, everything just worked out so well. It's these people are working together the whole time from inception and that sort of a thing. So it was pretty awesome. Really enjoyed that. And with Right By You, which is the song that I produced, kind of took a similar approach, because we had Shmaster, who was doing the rap in a different country, and we actually had to send him the beat. Okay, then he had to go to some studio in Zambia, record his vocals, send the vocals back, then we took those vocals and then put them into the track, and it worked out pretty well. I really like that song because it has this traditional vibe to it, which I really like, it's very good. And we also had Wayne, who also featured on the hooks with vocals. Awesome guy, worked out very well.
Beneath the Surface, aka Shallow, one of my favorite songs on the album. And here's a little secret, I had nothing to do with the lyrics. The song was written by Zubs. Nyambo approached Zubs and says to him that he wants Zubs to kind of write a song that reflects what Chilu's all about and what Zubs' point of view about different subject matters is. And so Zubs wrote the song.
Beneath the Surface for me is a powerful song because I call it the Seeker's Anthem, where basically you have people who, when they find out things and they find out stuff in general about life or whatever, they want to find out even more. It's like they understand that watching the news is just getting headlines, not stories. So if you really want to know the stories, you must dig deeper. You must go beneath the surface. And this is what the Seeker is about. This is what people who want knowledge and truth and full story, this is what they do. So it's almost like if you're that kind of person, the Surface is your anthem.
Now here's some trivia relating to the album Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats and how it relates to my first album, Sound Legacy. So they're 6 years apart. The first album was released in 2006, the second one in 2012. What we realized, kind of by accident, is that on the third song of each of the two albums, the third sentence has the word Bob Marley in it. I woke up this morning, I saw the little bird on my doorstep singing a melody loud and direct, but wait, it didn't have any significance, but Bob Marley turned the same to dividends. We jam and even Bob's Wailers can't stand it. How's that? Weird and freaky. One of the songs on the album that I'm particularly proud of is titled Chuta. Chuta was written and performed by a gentleman named Madando Ludaka, who used to be part of a band called No Parking back when I was in Lusaka, and then he released some solo material. And one of the producers who was involved in that solo project is a gentleman named James Mulenga from Kula Music, and I've worked with James before, even on my first album. So James, you know, intermittently would send me songs to get my opinion on them, and he sent me Chuta, which had been recorded about a decade earlier, but James had kind of jazzed it up and put a modern and contemporary twist to it. So he sent it to me for my opinion, and after emailing it to me, I listened to it and I typed feedback and told him that I liked the song, and it ended kind of there. And then about a year later, I was listening to the song and I thought, wow, this song is deep, and I tried to put in some lyrics and some rap words in there, and they seem to be gelling pretty well. And so I sent him the rap lyrics or the song that he had sent me with my rap, and asked him for his opinion. And that's how we started kind of fashioning the song to make it what it is today. We've done a video for it, and I'd like you to check out the video.
Who accounted for your hours and your minutes and your days, embraced you when you walked through heaven's gates.
So we filmed the video for Chuta in Lusaka, and it was directed by Jamil Banda and featured Zone Fam doing a cameo, as well as cameos from Mr. Vizzy and Duncan, aka Holstar. And I'm curious to find out what Holstar and Mr. Vizzy thought about the song, because they might not necessarily have known Madanda while he was alive, but the song, I'm certain, must have touched them. So let's find out what their views are.
What I feel about this song, I think it talks about one's personal struggles, overcoming the struggles, and of course giving thanks to God. And on the other hand, shooting this video was fun. Of course, me, Zone Fam, Mr. VZ.
When we were shooting Chuta video, I think we were supposed to fill in for the late Madando. And, you know, being someone who speaks just a little bit of Tumbuka, I could understand what the song was about, but then I really couldn't catch on to the flow, because I thought there was a lot of Tumakona Kona that Madanda was doing when he was singing, and you'd have to be as talented as him to be able to pull that off.
And I got so much energy. And I'ma blow up one day, become a star when I grow up someday. And if ever that trouble come follow me, I look into the Father, say, Lord, have mercy on me.
So when we were recording Go Getta, I was in Lusaka at Romoside Studios, and I got to, because I like working with TK, and so I got to Romoside Studios and narrated what I wanted to do with that particular song. And it just so happened that Tai2 was hanging out at the studio. So I narrated the first verse, I rapped it for TK. TK started doing his thing, you know, got into the zone, started making the beat. And while I was rapping, I kind of asked Tai2 if he had anything that he could throw in the chorus. And we all know Tai2 as a guy who does raga muff type stuff, you know, like Sean Paul or whatever. And so I thought he was going to come from that angle. And then he says, okay, I'm ready with something. And he went up with the paper and got to the microphone and started singing, which kind of, you know, caught me off guard. And he put together a brilliant chorus. And as he was singing it, I remember I was, you know, like in the zone as well, with my fist up in the air. And that's how come the second verse of Go Getta starts with the words fist in the air. But once again, what was on Tai2's mind when he was thinking about Go Getta? Let's find out.
getting better.
I was supposed to do something with TK at Homicide Studios, and yeah, it took a drive. Next thing, Chilu popped in and they started talking. Next thing, TK was on the beat as usual. And yeah, it sounded good. It had that traditional Catholic type of beat, which was crazy at the end of the day, but creative. And once I had the concept, it started playing because it was something like that I could easily relate to. It's more like, yeah, you try something once, you try it twice, whatever times, be it 10 times, but you still don't give up and still go back and get it. So I relate to that song personally. So even coming up with that chorus was something that was very easy for me to do with it. And it was a good thing that the moment I sang it, Chilu liked it, and yeah, magic was created.
Fist in the air, take a deep breath. Believe in yourself. And with every little step, walk on, you're making progress.
Go Getta, we were looking to come up with a visual portraying go-getters, people who are not just going to sit there and wait for things to come to them. A boxer. We came up with that idea because most boxers, when they're getting ready to get in the ring, they prepare, they work really hard for that. That describes a go-getter. The cameos that were in the video, most of them are go-getters, are people that are making things happen where it seems impossible. So that's where we were going with that. And the song itself, it just says it for itself, so we kind of needed that.
We're at the Grill House in Santon.
We're here for the
screening for the music video Chuta by Chilu Lemba
and TK.
Yeah.
The reason I'm here today is because I'm just here to support. I wasn't really involved in the music video, but I was there while they were shooting it, so I'm just here to see the final product. We're here to support Chilu.
Chilu Lemba. You know that song, Jota, Gatarina Jota, water.
I was actually going to ask you what it means.
Ali and Jota or something like that?
It's thirst in
Nyanja. Not Niger, not Nyanja.
Jota, give us some water. Gatarina Jota, when she's thirsty, give us some water.
Gatarina Jota. TK really did his thing. The video is amazing. I mean, the video for the original, absolutely amazing. And then the remix, the Afro Jiva remix, like these dudes, man, they just took it there, man. They took it all the way there.
I personally loved Jota. That was my favorite track from the onset, and with it kept on surprising me because every single time that I'd think the song is done and is finished, whoever would work on it or get it would put it like a whole new twist and bring it up to a different level. So I loved watching the song grow, if I can call it growth.
For me, my favorite song at the moment is Jota, the one that features Zab. It's got a brilliant remix as well. You know, so I mean, bottom line, the album is a fine work of art.
Life was tough before you met her. Took more flack than Roberta. She was such a hard worker, praying and hoping things would get better. Some people congratulate her, some hate cause now she got paper. Didn't have to shake her money maker, she got that money through legitimate labor. She's rising, water vapor, she got Oprah, motivate her. She let loose every once in a while when she danced in the club with her hands in the air.
I love the first album, totally. But for me, the main difference with the first one and the second is firstly the maturity level. It's always obviously nice to, you know, step up from where you are and do something that's different and go a step higher. And I definitely saw that in the second album. Firstly, I felt the lyrics were more mature. I felt the beats were worked on a whole lot better. with the first one, you know, Chilu was like a one-man band mostly. But with the second one, we had Nyams come in and as a producer of the album.
It was very different from a lot of projects that, you know, we kind of worked on in the past, in the sense that a lot of projects that we work on, people come and they're like, okay, have you heard the new this or that? And, you know, they want it to sound a certain way. So this one was, you know, it allowed us to work in an area where most artists aren't comfortable going. And we had the freedom to actually sit down and try and come up with a sound that we, you know, hoped would fit the album and the direction that Chilu was going for. I think it's a really good blend of different backgrounds, different sounds, different, yeah, it's just a really stellar melting pot.
One of the guys whose opinion I respect greatly when it comes to sound is Ofi. I've worked with him for years on different projects, and so when we were doing this album, I kept going back to him just to kind of get his input in terms of the sound and the overall feel, and try and just get some direction from him, because that's what his life is about. He's a sound engineer slash sound designer. And so he gave me some great insight, and I caught up with him just to get his views on what he thought relating to Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats.
When I was listening to the, what do you call, the instrumentals, then I just felt like the sound was very new and retro and stuff. So it, you know, I heard a lot of like, there was like bass, you know, and then like acoustic stuff was there, but like there was a lot of electronic sounds, you know, and stuff. So I thought, why not mix it like, you know, like the new tracks, how they're done today. From a sound perspective, I think it was more about just the sound reaching the ears more than anything else.
For the sake of your children, that you remember your vows. You come a long way, you've done many miles. You can't let it end like Diana and Charles. There's a light at the end.
That chick could sing. That's all I could remember, that yo, Tio can sing, because it was like very effortless for her to actually get out the notes, you know? And like how your flow was with her lyrics. With her singing, I thought it was very, like it was just a magical mix, you know, because the song was very mellow. It's like it was more like a fluid mix, you know, when you hear her and you just coming in with your lines and everything. Yeah, it was a very great experience, and I was like, that's one of my favorite tracks. Pretty much until then I heard the other one, the one with the guy who passed away. Chuta, yes, that song. You know, hits me inside.
Come on, no stopping it, child.
So as you've come to witness, there's a lot of work that went on behind the scenes during the recording of Flowers, Needles and Drumbeats. I mean, I haven't even spoken of the photo shoot where we had one of Zambia's best photographers, I'd even say one of Africa's best photographers, Gareth Bentley, coming through to just be part of the project and do a photo shoot. And all in all, the philosophy was pretty simple. We wanted something that would be world-class, something that will last for a long time, with lyrics that would be intelligent or would make you think, and with artists that also have a good following and are able to resonate with a good wide audience. And it was also, you know, there's that pressure that, you know, one needs to put vernacular in the songs because it's an African project. But our approach was that if it's African, it could be African through the music, through the actual production, and I think we achieved that. And if we did involve somebody who was going to rap in vernacular, it had to be somebody who could rap in, for example, Bemba, and do it in such a way that somebody who does not understand a word of Bemba can still relate because it sounds beautiful, because the artist is clever enough to craft the words in such a way that they just sound beautiful. And I'm thinking specifically of Shimasta, who rapped on Right By You, and that's exactly what he did. So overall, it's one of those projects that I'm proud of, and I hope you get yourself a copy and listen to it over and over and over and over and over again.
To write more and enjoy how every song goes. World #1, more hits, more rewards, more